If you take apart almost any Beatles song, you'll eventually hear its influence somewhere in modern music. And not just rock music either. Take a song like Tomorrow Never Knows, for example. It's influenced people all the way from Oasis to the Chemical Brothers. So the question is, if the Beatles inspired everyone else, then whose music inspired the Beatles? Well, in the mid-1960s, there was one album the band could not stop listening to: Pet Sounds. What Brian Wilson managed to achieve with this album was nothing short of a miracle. He'd retired from touring at that point and had left the rest of the Beach Boys to take the show on the road, while he locked himself away in the studio chasing perfection. Inspired by Phil Spector's wall of sound technique, Wilson viewed the studio as an instrument itself rather than somewhere just to record instruments. And this involved pulling songs apart to put them back together again and layering lots of sounds over each other. And the influence this had on the Beatles really can't be overstated. When we think about it, the entirety of music history is essentially a mosaic of what-ifs. What if Jimi Hendrix had never moved to London? What if Mick Jagger had never gone to that Muddy Waters tour in the 50s? And in this case, what if the Beatles had never listened to Pet Sounds? Well, the chances are Sgt. Pepper's would exist in a very different form to the one that we have. Both bands viewed albums as a cohesive, coherent experience rather than a random bashing together of standalone singles. And both albums pushed pop music towards much more experimental production. Paul McCartney certainly never tried to hide how deeply Pet Sounds influenced him while making Sgt. Pepper's. As he later admitted, "I played it to John so much that it would be difficult for him to escape the influence. If records had a director within a band, I sort of directed Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and my influence was basically the Pet Sounds album. John was influenced by it, perhaps not as much as me." McCartney continued, "It was certainly a record we all played. It was the record of the time, you know. I've often played Pet Sounds and cried. It's that kind of an album for me." It's impossible to say whether the Beatles' career would have actually looked any different had Pet Sounds not existed. But what is certain is that creative rivalry between the Beatles and the Beach Boys meant they both kept pushing themselves forward. And perhaps without that, we never would have seen either of those bands at the peak of their musical talent. And musical history would look a lot different without that.